Mindfulness to See Dharma in Insight Observation by Venerable Rung Ruang Papa's Saro, Dr. Rung Ruang Lim Shu Patipa. In scientific experimentation, we need a high-precision equipment to make an observation. A more powerful electron microscope with high magnification power will provide a better image of the subject in the observation. In Buddhist observation, we make use of purified mindfulness by equanimity as a tool to make an observation on what is happening inside the mind. The continuance of mindfulness will make the continuity of the observation in order to see the arising and fading away of each phenomenon, the cause and effect, the benefit and harm of each phenomenon in terms of the process of dependent origination. Physically, the function of eye is to see physical objects in the world, and in Buddhism mindfulness is used in seeing the dharma of mental objects and phenomena within the mind. Mindfulness is a special quality of mind to be aware of what is happening inside the mind. The mindfulness can be compared like an eye to see insight phenomena inside the mind. On the early day of the Buddha enlightenment, what the trigger point of the Buddha's insight observation was when he recalled of his sitting in the cool shade of a rose apple tree, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states. He entered and dwelled in the first jhana with mindfulness. The Buddha discovered the making use of mindfulness to observe inside the mind. In performing the Buddhist practice, the observation is totally relied on having mindfulness. And since mindfulness is a capability to be aware of what is happening inside the mind, therefore when having consciousness to fetch on an object of consciousness, then the mindfulness will be able to sense what kind of the object of consciousness is. Putting in simple term, mindfulness is a tool to perform insight observation. And in performing insight observation of vipassana, we make use of a high-quality mindfulness to see the dharma of mental phenomena inside the mind. During performing the Buddhist practice, the concentration will improve the quality of mindfulness, but it is the mindfulness to be used in making insight observation, not concentration. During performing the Buddhist practice, the Buddha emphasized that practitioner must maintain mindfulness at all the time as in such statement, establishing mindfulness before a person. This is to highlight the important role of mindfulness throughout the practice. Therefore, in performing a Buddhist practice, we must learn how to initiate the mindfulness starting at the beginning of Buddhist practice, and then applying the Buddhist meditation to empower the mindfulness. In Buddhism, there is a phrase, having an eye to see the Dharma, which means to say, establishing mindfulness to see the truths of life within nature at the level of the object of consciousness. The observation on the object of consciousness in Buddhist practice is just like observing a frog jumping on lotus in a pond in stochastic process, that is, every time when making an observation on the mind, the frog or the mind will be on different lotus leaves just like the mind is in a different state of mind. And as the mental phenomena of the states of mind keep on changing in its states very fast, therefore mindfulness as an observation tool also must be in a highest quality of purified mindfulness in order to perform insight observation to detect the changing in various states of mind. Fundamentally, the key success factor of the Buddhist practice is to see the Dharma of the truths of life within nature, and we make use of the mindfulness to see the mind conditions, the Dharma of mental phenomenon, and the process of dependent origination. The mindfulness is a prime factor to see the Dharma, and to activate the acknowledgement element of mind for cognitive process development. The concentration plays a supportive role to the mindfulness, and in the four mindfulness foundations, the Buddha called this special condition, purified mindfulness with equanimity. It is very important to understand that by constantly establishing mindfulness, then whenever the mind changes in state when being conscious, then the mindfulness will be able to detect the changing of the state of mind immediately. The mind with mindful and clear comprehending will observe the changing objects of consciousness in the mind processing. The role of mindfulness in Buddhist practice is so significant that the mindfulness has to be repeatedly reinitiated throughout the Buddhist practice. On the day of his enlightenment, the mind of Buddha was fully mindful as follows.
The Buddha is mindful, one who dwells happily. Again, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous passing away of cheerfulness and dejection, he enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which is neither pleasurable nor painful and includes the purification of mindfulness by equanimity. When his mind is thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilement, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbability. The purified mindfulness is a special condition of mindfulness in such a way that the mind will not be bothered with both the external object of consciousness and the internal object of consciousness, that is, having mindfulness to be steadied, not messing up with the past, and not worry of the future. As a result, the observation will be as to what the truth really is. By not making any bias on the arising object of consciousness in mind processing, not to swing around or to flow with any emotional feeling, not to be in favor or non-favor on what is happening, neither to bother with an arriving external mental phenomenon from the world, nor to entangle with an internal mental phenomenon formulated within the mind, not to anticipate or expect to see something to happen. And by having research on Dharma in the analysis on the Four Noble Truths, then the wisdom is gained from the Buddhist practice.
There is a concern of why we have to be patient for the mindfulness development, and why we do not conduct insight observation as soon as possible. This is due to the fact that if the 5 lower fetters of middle defilements are not fully cleansed out from the mind first, then these unwholesome thoughts will keep on disturbing the mind, and making background noises during performing an observation. It is necessary to completely the cleansing of all the background noises out from the window of observation, while strengthening up the quality of mindfulness to be purified mindfulness before performing insight observation. Otherwise what we see may be our own thinking or something that we expected to see, and turning out to be a complication of delusion.